The final speaker of the session is Anil Kamath from Adobe, talking about designing and delivering experiences using machine learning and AI.
1 minute to have.
20.
Hi, my name is Anil Kamath, and I run the ML AI group at Adobe for the Experience Cloud business. So many of you might be wondering what the Experience Cloud is. So I'll start off a little bit by telling you, like, when you think of Adobe, what is the first thing that comes to mind? PDF, yeah, maybe Photoshop. But there is a whole other side of Adobe which probably you guys interact with, but don't probably know that you're interacting with. So there's the Document Cloud, which is PDF, Acrobat. There is the Creative Cloud, which is Photoshop, Illustrator. But there is the other business, which is the Experience Cloud, which powers a lot of the digital marketing and advertising that brands do. We offer that as a software as a service that enables brands like Citibank, Ford to run their website, their email campaigns, their apps, their social marketing, their videos that they create and show on their various properties. As well as things which involve advertising on third-party sites like Google or Facebook or any of the websites. So, in fact, we power a lot of the top brands. So, most likely, the email that you receive or the website that you go to for any of the top brands is likely powered by the Adobe's Experience Cloud business. It's just that we are working behind the scenes and enabling it, so you won't see that when you go to that website directly. So what are we seeing why did we call it the Experience Cloud business? I think what we saw was a lot of the brands are seeing this transformation where people don't just buy products and services, they are going to these brands because they want a certain kind of experience. So when I was booking my ticket, I was talking to my wife and she says, I prefer to buy it from so-and-so airline because I'm so used to the user interface. I get notifications when the flights get delayed. I know when my baggage is loaded onto the airplane. So it's not just the physical experience, it's also the digital experience, which plays a significant role in how consumers interact with the brands and decide whether they like or don't like a brand. And from the consumer's point of view, what they're looking for is a consistent, continuous, and compelling experience across all the different channels. So just to give an example, I was in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago at our conference, and I woke up in the morning. I opened the Starbucks app. It knew that I was in Las Vegas. It knew where I was. It pointed me to the closest Starbucks. It asked me whether I wanted my usual mocha, which I said yes. I clicked on it. By the time I arrived at the Starbucks, I didn't have to wait in that huge line of people waiting to get the coffee. I could just bypass them, pick up my coffee, and I was there, right? That's the experience. It just like it knows, it's personalized. It knows what I want. It knows where I am. It knows once I order it to have it ready for me in that physical location where I'm going to be there. So that's the kind of experience that consumers increasingly demand of the brands that they work with. So from the people in these brands, the marketing guys, the advertising guys, what they need to figure out is how do I make this experience personalized? How do I make it relevant to what the consumer has done based on what they have done in the past? And how do I adjust in real time to everything that I know about that person, whether the location of the person, where they are, what time it is, all of those things, right? So millennials especially, I mean, they are used to growing up in this world of where everything is digital, and they expect that all brands are able to provide this for them, not just the new companies that have risen in this digital-only world. So, of course, experiences start with great content, but most importantly, what we see is that experiences are powered by data, right? And that's where machine learning and AI plays a very increasingly important role. So just to give you a flavor, on behalf of our brands, we collect a large amount of data. So we, as I said, power websites, apps, social media, advertising, videos, all of that data. Plus we get the brands to give us other data, maybe visits to their physical branch offices or to their calls to their call center. In addition, we deliver a lot of content, deliver a lot of experiences in the digital side. So together, this creates a vast pool of data. So what essentially is happening is that this always on, always connected consumer is also creating a lot of data for us, which can then be used to deliver to their big expectations, right?
So
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand the model that Adobe is operating with Experience Cloud.
Yeah.
There are companies, as an example, not the Starbucks, Visa is not exactly a
Yeah.
customer, but someone like that. You provide sort of AI ML as a software as a service model
Yeah.
for their customers and their business. How much of that data that passes through your platform do you get to keep? Because some of these things are usually those guys who own it.
Yes. So the data belongs to the brands. We are the operator in the sense we collect the data on their behalf. We help analyze and understand, and we help them deliver the experiences through the channels that we offer them services against. So we have an analytics product which collects the data through tracking mechanisms. We have mechanisms where they can transfer data to us. We have an audience manager which allows them to manage their customer profiles. We have various delivery mechanisms. So we have a service that enables people to create and personalize their websites through testing, recommendations, personalization. We have the ability to send emails, send notifications. So we allow their digital marketers to figure out how to run their email campaigns, their mobile app notifications, as well as the various acquisition channels that they use, like Facebook or Google or the display ad networks through which they acquire customers. So all of these things we are doing on behalf of the brand. In that sense, it's very different from the Googles and Facebooks of the world, where they are trying to optimize revenue that they're generating on their properties. We are enabling sort of the other side, which is enabling the brands to figure out how to use their data to run effective marketing and advertising campaigns across these different channels that they touch their consumers with.
This is as a software as a service model, but without having to worry about the overhead of ending up consulting type activity.
Yes. We do it more as a SaaS model. We work with other partners if they want to create consulting practices on top of it, but what we sell is SaaS solutions. So this data that I talked about is large, right? It is high dimensional. It's also real time in the sense it's constantly coming in at very high speeds. And to take that data, make sense out of it, make predictions based on it, and then actually act against it is what we call the experience intelligence, right? So that's what my group is responsible for driving. So to simplify it, what we are doing with this data is taking this data and enabling the brands to get intelligent insights. Who are my consumers? What are they doing? What do they want? What is the, so to describe experience in a nutshell, it would be figuring out what content to show which consumer in a specific context, right? So the right thing, the right content at the right place to the right person. Bringing that together is the experience. And taking a whole amount of data that comes from experiences and then creating that intelligent insights into who the consumer is, what's the different content that they are engaging with, and what is the context and channel through which they are engaging with that content, and then using it, enabling it to be used for designing campaigns, designing marketing and advertising campaigns, and actually delivering the campaign is what we are enabling. So I'll get into one example of how this works, and maybe we can then dig deeper into how to generalize it. But that's sort of in a nutshell what we are trying to do. So let's look at the experience when you go to a website like CNN, and then there is this slot here where you want to show something, right? Now, behind this particular slot out there, there's a whole complex ecosystem of systems and decisions that decides what's going to show up there. So CNN will, of course, when the person comes through a browser or through a mobile phone to this website, CNN will, of course, deliver the page with all the news and other stuff. But what happens in this particular slot is that there is an ad tag. This ad tag calls a SupplySide Platform, which is, think of SupplySide Platform as something which is helping the publisher figure out which among the different ads it should be showing in that particular slot. So the SupplySide Platform connects with a large number of demand-side platforms, which are essentially aggregators of advertisers who are trying to show their ad in this particular slot. So you might have Ford, or you might have Citibank, and you might have Nordstrom. All of them want to have an ad that gets displayed, have their ad displayed in this particular slot. The SupplySide platform is just enabling these different people to come back with a bid and an ad to be shown in that particular spot. So these different demand-side platforms will come back with a response in which there is a bid, which indicates I'm willing to pay this much for an impression to be shown to this particular person in this particular slot. And the SupplySide platform will run an auction which takes all the bids, figure out the highest bid, and whoever wins that bid, it will direct to the winning ad server. So say the first ad server was a winning one, so it gets redirected, the ad server request gets redirected to that demand-side platform, and the ad server at that point will redirect it to the CDN, which is the content network, like Akamai, for example. And the CDN will then show the ad in that particular spot. So that's sort of at a high level what's happening in this slot in terms of what is happening behind the scenes before an ad gets displayed in this particular slot. Let's dig a little bit deeper into one of these demand-side platforms and see what's happening underneath that. So think of the demand-side platform as a place where different advertisers, so Adobe has a demand-side platform in which we are enabling different brands to figure out how to run their advertising campaigns and identify the consumers where they want to show an ad to and the sites on which they want to show the ad at. So the brands are creating campaigns. So the campaigns indicate how much dollars they have in terms of how much they're willing to spend on that advertising campaign. They have specific targets, maybe in terms of audiences they want to reach. They have ROI metrics in terms of certain goals or metrics they want to hit, and the budget, of course, under which those metrics have to be met. There is a user profile which indicates for each user what is the information that we know about that user. Some of them might be things that we have gotten through the analytics that we have on the website of those brands. Some of them may be things that we get from third-party data. The others would be things that we predict about that user, maybe their propensity to buy that specific kind of product or their propensity, interest in a specific kind of content. Then there is the context in which the ad is going to be placed. As the example I gave you, we know that this ad is going to be shown on the CNN homepage. The person we know, or the browser we know, is at a specific location. We know which kind of device that request for that page is coming from. We might know other things about that page as well as about that location that we could use. So that is sort of your information that you can get from the website based on which you have to make your bidding decision. So you take all of this information, the profile, the bid request information, the context information, the campaign targets, and then based on that, you have to decide for each campaign, how much is it worth to show a specific ad to this particular person on this specific location at this time, right? So you might have a limited budget in which you might be very picky and you get to pick and choose the impressions, or you might have a lot of budget in which you might have laxer restrictions in terms of filters that you run against who you want to show your ad to. You might have a lot of information about the user in which you really want to get that user. There's a whole set of information that plays a role in that decision of whether you want to bid, and if you want to bid, how much you want to bid, and when you bid, what's the ad you want to show to that person. So that's sort of the complexity of the decision that goes into creating this one experience of showing an ad to one consumer on a very specific site. So if you dig deeper into the user profile, there's a whole set of other things that come into play, which is you have, of course, the web analytics, what the person did on your website. So if I'm Citibank, I know what kind of things a consumer who comes to my website has expressed interest in. But there's also other information that I can add based on if I can connect that cookie of that person to an account, I know for that account that person has a mortgage, or that the person visited a branch office which was in a specific location, or that person had called a call center. There's a whole bunch of other set of information that you can then connect with that identity to get a richer profile for that user. But there are some things which you have to predict, which is how likely that person is going to engage with an offer for a fixed for a CD with a certain percentage of interest, or what likelihood is that person interested in a certain kind of content or a certain kind of credit card. So that's what falls into the bucket of the customer intelligence, which we have to take the data that we have and then based on that build these predictions. I don't have much time, but I'll quickly go into a couple more things, which is these things don't happen in silos. These experiences that I showed are part of a bigger customer journey. The customer might interact with the brands through multiple different touch points before ending up making a purchase. And the understanding of the journey is as important as understanding of these individual experiences. So journey design is one of the critical things that many brands and marketers spend a lot of effort in order to figure out how to connect a bunch of experiences to give that customer a nice, smooth experience towards getting them to a specific outcome. And in this journey optimization, you have several decisions that you end up making. What is the offer that I should show that person? What is the best time to send an email to that person? What is the call center script that I should serve that person? Which channel should I reach the customer through? Should I send them something through an app? Should I send them something through an SMS message or something through an email? All of these decisions, you need tools to help figure out what is the best mechanism in order to make that journey smooth and easy for the end consumer. So I guess I don't have much time, but so these things play also a role in the return on investment for advertising that that the brands look for. Understanding the journey means figuring out which touch points in the journey contribute how much towards getting that person to a final outcome, which goes into figuring out media planning, how much money I allocate towards these various channels. And it also flows into how I manage my campaigns. So if you look at the problems, there's a lot of different problems, and understanding consumers, understanding how to create these experiences. There's a lot of problems around how do you connect these different experiences to get a customer's journey. And then finally, how do you figure out, based on these different experiences and journeys, how do you allocate your media dollars and your marketing dollars across these different options that you have? That's in a nutshell.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So if all the speakers could come up, and then we'll shift to general Q&A.